welcome to the Percussion Discussion Show. It's really nice to see you all today. There are so many people joining, a lot of my friends, a lot of amazing percussionists joining the show. Uh, so, a little word about Gappu, not making it quite late. Uh, you all know that Gappu is a pioneering Indian percussion and has been providing amazing percussions for the last few years, endorsing uh, artists like me and also providing percussion all throughout the India, and it has been spreading far and wide. And this is the second season of the Percussion Discussion Show. We had amazing artists like Greg Ellis, BC Manjunath, Kaz Rodriguez, and name it and you have it. Giovanni Labelle, so many artists that have been a part of the Percussion Discussion Show, and it has been having both Indian artists as well as artists of international repute. And all the conversations that we are currently having are available as podcasts on Spotify, on Google, and Apple as well. So I hope you will all enjoy this season, this new season, having amazing artists over. And it's my joy, it's my pleasure, and my pride to begin this season with an amazing artist who needs no introduction. If there is someone who can replace the name Cajon, it's Heidi Joubert. We have all seen, I think there are so many people who have just got introduced to this instrument because of her. I remember picking up my first Cajon back in 2010, and the first video I just went and referred to is Heidi's. And I don't know of any educator better than her in the field in terms of making Cajon so accessible to people, just breaking down and taking time to, teaching every little nuance to, a professional or for a person who is picking up the Cajon for the first time. It's very, very compassionate and empathetic teaching, I would say, and who has spread her hands far and wide in terms of percussion and has earned a place for herself. I don't want to, speak so much more because she is here to speak more about her. I'm really, really happy and proud to invite Heidi into this conversation. Which will be running. Hey,
Hi. What
hi,
a nice
hi.
introduction. Thank you. You honor me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me
Really, really
clearly?
happy and yeah. Is it audible? Is it everything clear for you?
Yes. I'm in my car. I've literally just driven 5 hours straight to London and the traffic
Oh
was
my God.
kind of horrendous. So I was hoping to be sat down at a nice restaurant with, with everything, with all my sound and everything. As it turns out, it's like my life. You kind of have to improvise with it. So I'm literally sitting in a little street in London in my lovely car, which is like second home to me, and enjoying this moment. I wish I had another phone to take a photo of this very moment with with my iPhone on the stand that I usually use for Google Maps and listening to the
Yeah.
beautiful things you have to say. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. I know there has been a confusion regarding the time zone and, 2 hours pushed. I don't know. I hope you are okay with having the conversation now, but thanks for making the time out. And I'm really, really happy and proud to be hosting this time. Heidi, it's literally Cajon is very synonymous to you. Can I know? I mean, I've read about your life through Cajon Box. I know the cruise Cajons that you have been doing. I've been following your work since quite a long time. But for the people who are listening to this podcast for the first time or watching this video, can you just explain about where it all began from? Why Cajon?
Oh, that can be a really deep, long answer, or it can be a very simple, short one. I think we're just going to go with the simple, basic, short one. We don't have so much time. As you say, it's quite late where you are. I used to play drum kit as a very young girl. My brothers had a little band in their garage, and they had a drum kit in the garage. And they used to play Nirvana and Metallica. And so at the age of 4, already picked up my first drum kit groove. And I studied a little bit of drums at rock school as a teenager. Then I moved over to London, and I could obviously not take my drum kit with me. We were living in a ridiculously small flat compared to the house that we lived in before in South Africa. So I had no drum kit. And on top of that, I was unable to work as I was still dependent under my parents. So legally, I
Yeah.
couldn't work in the UK until we got settlement or we got visas or whatever, you know, all the paperwork of everything. And I really wanted to study music. There was not money for that at that stage. I really wanted to go study jazz at the Guildhall, which is a very prominent school. And I ended up busking, playing music on the street to kind of help support my family, to make my own money in a way. And it ended up being the best university ever. And during the busking time, I met a guitarist and we had a duet together. And he introduced me to the cajon because we actually started just with saxophone and singing. And you know, in the snow, your voice gets, you know, you get really sick after every day, all day, in the snow, in the rain, coming from South Africa where it's really hot. You don't know that you can wear 2 shirts over each other. You know, I needed to learn that. It took me a year.
I
And so,
relate with being in India. It's true. Yeah.
yeah, so the guitarist said, he was from Spain, and he said, like, I'm going to bring you a cajon the next time I come back from Spain. And he told me it's a box. It's like a drum kit in a box. And I laughed at him when he first said it. I thought he joked. And he said, no, I'm serious. And the instant that he brought it back and I started playing it, it was just an instant, like, yes, I belong to you, you belong to me. And I was thrown into the deep end with this. Having played with sticks before, never really with percussions, I used to be a little bit of a snob about, percussionists, you know, I'm a drummer, I rock, you know, I hate the cymbals. And there I was with a cajon and having to start playing music on the street, performing with it right from day zero. And that's how I started playing the cajon. It was just natural for me. I just loved it. It was just so strange. But yeah.
Yeah. But from where you started to where you are, the journey has been incredible because a lot of people have been introduced to cajon because of you, and you are one of the prime educators of cajon who has taken it to people. So what is that reason that you felt that you need to take up cajon and be an educator rather than just an artist as such? Because you're a prolific artist. There's no question about that. But the choice of being an educator, where did that come from?
Yeah, it was a very personal decision, actually, because so I got this cajon and I was in London playing on the streets of London, and I really wanted to further and take lessons. And there was no teachers that I could find in London. This was, like 15, 16 years ago. And I was so frustrated. So I had to kind of literally translate exercises.
Just one second. Is it possible to move closer to the microphone? I think your voice is a little weak.
Too
If that
soft. Can
should
you
be
hear
okay.
me now?
Yeah. I don't know if
Okay.
it's my room or my fan. In that case, I'll just switch on the fan. It's quite hot, so I just switched on the fan here. Yeah. I think
Very
I
cool.
think it should be okay.
There's some cool comments going down here. Thanks, dude. That was really
Yeah.
nice. I hope you guys can hear me. I actually have some little headphones, but I don't think it has a microphone on it, but I could try it because I want this to be recorded well. I want to also share the recording later on also on my pages. So this is important.
Okay. I got a message saying we can hear her, so I think we
Okay,
are cool.
great.
No problem.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was really personal. I had no one that was teaching me. And the only thing was that you had to go to Spain and go and study with a flamenco player.
Yeah.
And that was just not a possibility at that stage. So I took it on myself, firstly, to teach myself. I had obviously some knowledge of technique and rudiments and, you know, having studied a little bit of rock drums and, you know, just the basic stuff. I just applied a lot of that onto the cajon. And I'd also been studying and learning a lot of the flamenco rhythms, like the palmas, listening to a lot of it and applying it onto the cajon in my own way. And then I figured maybe there's somebody out there that like is in the same situation that would like to have some lessons. And this was before YouTube was YouTube as we know it today. This was when YouTube was, you know, cute little cat videos. You know, it was not the education that it is now. Now it's like a university.
Yeah.
You can really study anything and everything on YouTube. But then
True
it was
that.
literally like, I didn't think that they would, you didn't even envision that there could be such a thing as a YouTuber or that you'll have followers. It was just like, I'm going to put this out. the best way to learn is also to teach other people as you're learning to some degree. So I started up with some videos on YouTube with the idea that maybe there's one or two people that could find this useful, because I found myself in that situation. And then I started teaching in-person group lessons, small groups in London too, from a lot of people that were interested in it, who saw me busking actually. So it was very organic. There was no big vision ahead of it. It was just like, well, maybe somebody could, find this useful, and that was it. And some people did, so it's crazy.
A lot of them did. I mean, you just see the comments. I know so many people have been benefited out of the same. So yeah, I think I'm getting a few questions here. I'll come back to that later. Just so that I'll continue your journey as what we have been discussing it. So how about building your own brand in terms of having your own line of cajones? It's such a big responsibility because you must have played a lot of cajones. What kind of cajones exist in the market. So what was the need and what is the speciality of cruise cajones?
Yeah. Okay, that's also another story. So when my channel started going quite popular, actually I was playing a specific brand, because again, at that stage when I started playing, you literally had to go to a flamenco music store or go to Spain to get a cajon. Like, you didn't walk into any music store and have a cajon. So actually I did go to a flamenco music store in London, which there was one music store there, which was great. And I got a cajon, which was a La Peru, actually one of the first more commercial brands from Schlagwerk. They were pretty forward running with that, Schlagwerk, in that sense. And the La Peru was pretty good. But I really wanted to go for like deep artisan top quality. So I bought a PRK cajon at that stage. At this moment, they're not manufacturing anymore. The artisan has passed away quite a few years ago. Okay. But I brought one of those from Spain. I went to Spain, actually bought it. And I realized a lot of people are seeing me play this. So I actually wrote to the artisan out of my own. I am a little bit of a visionary as well. And I said, look, man, there's thousands of people seeing me play this box on the streets of London, where literally no one outside of Spain or South America is really knowing about the cajon, and people are interested. Sure. And I'm playing your brand, so why don't you endorse me? There wasn't a reply. However, when one of my videos that I put up with their cajon got quite popular, there was a little comment on there like, wow, that's a really cool, video or something like that. And instantly I was like, I wrote them a comment back like, okay, so where's my cajon? So it slowly kind of went into that, where I realized a lot of people were asking me. So I got endorsed. They sent me some free cajons. That was great. Endorsed, basically you just get a free cajon and it's wonderful. And then a lot of people wanted to buy from me, my students, people online, my in-person students, people in London. And I thought, there's a business possibility here. Why would I not take it? I have a much bigger vision for the cajons as well. I've always had a vision of a community project in South Africa, which I actually have a piece of land for, up in the indigenous rainforest mountains. Wow. Just land, but I want to build a community center there where we have kids that are orphaned, that we can train them in music, arts and business, people that don't have jobs. It's, to train them how to make cajons, hand make these awesome cajons and sell them in Europe and, in the US. And basically all the profits go back into this project. So that was really the main thing. It's still a far off project, but that was one of the things in the back of my mind. So I thought, okay, this is a good way to start. And so I started with a signature line with this brand. The artisan passed away, and then I was like, okay, it's time to start my own brand. And that's what I did.
Wow. But the vision that you're having when you start off something is just admirable, because it's not easy to be looking at that sort of a distance. And I don't know, the entire journey of yours has been so, from where you've began and to what you've built. So are you always this positive person? Are there setbacks in your journey? How do you overcome them?
I'm generally quite positive. There has been stages in my life where I've really been down. It's not in my nature to be depressed or to be anxious or sad, but there has been periods where I have really been deep in the deepest, darkest pit. And yeah, I'm so glad that I'm not there at this moment at all. But in general, no, I've always been a visionary. And I think, well, a lot of it has to do with my faith. I believe in a God of the impossible, and he's my father. So like, why wouldn't I be able to? It's a real childlike faith. And there's this sentence that stuck in my head last week. I said it to somebody, and I said, look, we should never let the little girl, I should never let the little girl inside me die. And I think when you're a little naive and you don't know what it takes to do all of this, is the best time to just freaking do it, because you don't overthink it. You don't start to think of all the logistics. You just do it with passion. And really, like, that's really all you need. That positive attitude, the yes, I can, the fearless, kind of like a lion heart attitude that I can, like a childlike faith, like a lamb and a lion all at the same. So I think, yeah, it's a lot to do with my faith in God, that it's not just in my ability or even what the world or what society or the system tells me I can do, or even what I've been born into. I haven't been born into the richest family at all, or having a dad, like a physical dad, that's going to invest and give me money to start my business. This was all done completely on my own. But so, yeah, but it's there. I think it's got a lot to do with that faith, that belief that we're so much bigger and so much more divine than what we think we are. We're called for so much more. And I don't think we even have a clue how far we can go with that. So that's all.
Oh, I think there's so much to take back from this conversation, and it just has begun. Yeah, and as I was actually going through your website, I found something very interesting is about how much you have researched about the cajon and how much you give for free. Like, for example, when you practice the cajon, like the tips regarding the practice, about the posture, about what can help you heal yourself when you sit on the cajon. This is not something that people usually give it for free. These are a part of classes when people take it like one-to-one and usually charge a lot for the same. I don't know how have you learned this from people, or are these things that you have discovered and you just wanted to put it out to help people? Have there been teachers? Like, I know you've spoken about the flamenco thing, but even otherwise, are there tips that you got from your teacher, or are they your own discoveries through your journey?
Yeah, they've been my own discoveries mostly. I've literally there was one person that I took a cajon class from. He's a great cajon player. His name is Jose Montaña. I wanted to grab some licks, but at this stage I had already gone through the whole journey of literally trial and error, finding out what works for me. How does this work? Hours of playing on the street. So you know exactly, okay, what's up with the posture here? You study it. I literally made a study of it, firstly for myself, and then again thought, yeah, this needs to be shared. There's nothing out there, not in English and not in any other language. I mean, also the whole internet thing was just starting, like I said, the YouTube. I don't think Instagram even existed when this was put up. So it really was also a divine moment in time. Had it been that I came onto the scene later or sooner, it would have been different. So it really, I know it was completely destined to be like that. I'm completely mind blown. I'm just going with the wave. And I think it's so important to ask yourself, what's your purpose in life here? And I think that serving humanity, serving other people is the best way to serve yourself. And so, you've got to give to get. Again, that's just a principle. Like, you got to sow to reap a harvest. So also, if you listen to like all the big business boys and everything, they're always saying the more you give, the more that you give for free, the better you do with business. So it's the focus is, how can I best serve? There's a market here. There is a problem. How can I be the solution the best way? And then you don't need to worry. What needs to come back to you will come back to you. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. It's beautiful. It's just very spiritual in terms of, yeah. I didn't expect I didn't expect.
Okay, well, now you know what to expect for the
Because
next time.
I'm actually, I'm actually getting all the questions for the questions that I'm supposed to even ask, like the answers for all the questions that I'm even supposed to ask. But it's enlightening so far, and thank you so much for sharing. And this is something very personal from my side because you are also a woman. I don't mean to say like percussion and women to be a separate entity. I
Yeah,
mean, musicians are musicians so far, but there could be challenges posed to us much more than is it posed to the other gender. And because I don't know, at least in India, that's the case. There might be
yeah.
differences in. Have you ever faced any kind of discrepancies or challenges just because you're a woman in any part of the journey?
Well, I think that firstly, every single person is going to face discrepancies or challenges, whatever their situation. So if I was a male percussionist, I'm going to probably at some point struggle with other males that want to be competent against me. So for me, to be honest, in the time that we live in and the fact that I'm in the West world, I think it's actually an advantage to be a woman and play percussion. I think we are now living in a time, and I'm talking about like London, Europe, USA. India is different. Of course, Saudi Arabia is completely different. Even though in the Saudi Arabian music, a lot of the people that play percussions traditionally are female, which is quite interesting,
Absolutely.
actually,
Yeah.
which I find really cool. But I think that we as women are actually living in a very privileged time in the West. So no, of course you're gonna find some discrepancies, but usually those are people that are just jealous. Guys that are jealous that would just be like, yeah, you are getting the views because you're a pretty girl and that's why I don't get the views. And it's like, well, yeah, dude, if you put in the work and you put in something there that is of value to people, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, you're gonna get people that view your stuff. And why do you want people to view it? Because of you or because you want to serve them? Again, we're coming back to where is your yeah.
True.
So yeah, personally, no. In my opinion, I think it has worked to my advantage and not my disadvantage to be a female percussionist. Again, it's at that time, literally, when there's this whole movement of female power, the woman being strong, being powerful, me being a, beating a cajon, beating the drum, and I'm I'm not a fairy tale girl. If you look at my hands, I used to hate my hands. I used to think like they're like fat little sausages when I was in school. But then when I started teaching group classes, some of the girls that have these very fine, thin hands, they don't get the same sound out of the cajon. So I love my hands now. I love them. I'm so proud of them. They're manly. It's fine. I love my hands. So yeah, I mean, of course, some discrepancies, but in my opinion, I think it's actually served me well to be a female percussionist. Now, that is an advantage because I am living in a culture that we have in the West, in the Western world, where it's actually an advantage to be a woman nowadays. In fact, it's starting to swing a little bit too much to, woman power and men should just shut up. And I don't agree with that either. I think that male or female, if you are great at what you do, we need you, because we can benefit from that. Simple. Yeah.
Great. Like going a little into your school, actually, you have established your school of cajon playing in London, if I'm right, in the UK.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I'm not living in London anymore. So there's been a big
Okay.
change. I have actually not publicly really spoken about this yet. 3
Okay.
years ago, I stopped everything. Before
Oh,
Corona happened, I made a
okay.
huge change in my life. I moved out of London. I moved to Germany. I disappeared from the internet. I stopped performances. I literally even stopped sales. My website was just there as it was. I really needed to take the time to heal, to focus on things, to forgive myself, to forgive other people. There was a lot of things. My life was in a bit of a mess at a stage. And so I completely moved out with the thought that, okay, I'm going to sort my shit out and go back to London. ended up, then Corona happened, and I ended up being in Germany. So I'm still there at this moment. And to be honest, with the whole Brexit thing that's happened, it's also just, again, a divine moment that I didn't foresee. But it's good that I'm in Germany. So at the moment I'm in Germany. Obviously, the in-person classes also stopped 3 years ago when I took time away from everything. I literally went on a, what you would maybe call a sackcloth and ashes period, going into the wilderness, a sabbatical. Now I'm starting to come back, but it's more online. And obviously, I've also just released the first part of my modern method for cajon, which is like a step-by-step. I've done this whole curriculum, and actually this has been a dream. 10 years ago, I already envisioned it, and I should have done it 10 years ago, because I really would have done really well if I had done it 10 years ago, but I was afraid. But I finally decided I need to just release it and not be afraid. It's good enough. People will, again, my focus became more about, am I good enough? What about me? And I had to refocus again. No, it's not about me. It's about people, what they can use from it. So I've just released the first part of the modern method. There are 3 more parts to come out. It's also going to be in booklet form, which I'm busy writing up. I'm busy editing the second part, and an app. And hopefully once the whole curriculum is done, I can actually sell the curriculum itself to schools, to universities. This is an idea. Again, my big thoughts. I really need a business partner, honestly. If somebody wants to be my business partner, trying to do all of this yourself. And the worst is, I'm actually more a singer than anything, and people don't know this. Actually,
I've watched a couple of your videos. It was amazing. I listened to your cover on Aretha Franklin, I think.
Oh yes,
and
I love that.
Beautiful, vocals along with a quartet band, I suppose.
Yeah. So I want to get to do my album on my own songs and sing and be focused on that as well. So I think it's good to put the whole curriculum in video format, in a format that even when I'm not actively able to in person do regular workshop classes, I'd always love to do big cliniques, of course, and do all of that stuff. But to be regularly busy teaching the cajon, I think, okay, nowadays we're in a point where you can put out your stuff there and people can learn from it, and you can have this once a month or once every 3 months big masterclass online and also in person, which will give me a little bit more time to be more focused on creating music, as not just being an educator, because you can get really busy with that, and I love it, but I also need to get on stage and go and sing and write music and work with different artists.
Great. Now, coming to that exactly, the collaborations over the journey as a musician that you treasure, share some experiences with the artists that you have collaborated with. I know for a fact that it was in NAM that you had a spontaneous jam with Stevie Wonder, if I'm right, and you were also...
Yes, that was cool. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was one of the craziest moments. It was very cool. Oh, my foot is sleeping, so I'm kind of sitting here on my feet so that I can look good on this video.
I'm sorry to put you through this.
No, it's good. No pain, no gain. That was a great thing. I mean, I had just had a huge breakup of my band, as well as my romantic relationship, which was supposed to be my future, in all senses. And then, so I was really down. And then Roland wrote to me and said they've got this cajon and they'd like me to be their demonstration artist. And I was just a bit like, at this stage, I was like, whatever, I don't care. I've got my own brand. I don't care about anything. I was a little hard. Eventually, I got convinced to go and check this out, because it was a hybrid cajon. The
El Cajon, right? I've watched the demo video as well,
And as soon as I tried it, I freaked out, because actually, even something like 5 years before, I drew in pictures what it would be like to have a cajon with an amp inside and with maybe having electronic things. And they did exactly that. And it was like, again, a divine thing, like, okay, God, I've got to do this. And I want to do this. Thank you. And so I did it. It was awesome. And one of the things I told them, I'll be your demo artist, for the video and everything, but I want to be at NAM. I want to be the one who's at the NAM show in California, demonstrating it. And so we had,
Wow.
I negotiated a little bit with them, and I went to NAMM. It was one of the most awesome things. I've never been to a drum show. I've never done anything like that. Everything has been very independent, playing on the street, making my own YouTube channel. So I don't know. I didn't know how all of this works. I even remember praying the night before and saying, God, you're going to have to help me. And I read about, there's the Bible story about Gideon, who goes with 300 of his warriors, like just with the light and with the trumpet, not even with weapons, to go up against, I don't know, something like thousands, not just thousands, in the 100,000s, 120,000 men, and they end up defeating them. So I read that story and I thought, okay, cool. That's going to be my story. And it literally was. That whole week was just, I won show in NAMM, the best show in NAMM, one of my demonstration. Stevie, the final day was Stevie coming to check it out, and he starts like moving as I'm jamming on it, and I'm like freaking out, and then he wants to come up on stage, and he got on stage, and that was just incredible. Had a interesting experience with him there. Got to like laugh with him, hug him, clap hands while he was jamming. I believe in impartation as well. Like when you are surrounded by people, there is an anointing or an authority that's on their life that you can also take. And so I was really happy about that. That was an incredible moment. I remember crying a lot that week and laughing a lot.
Wow.
Both. It was a very, very cool week. And obviously the other one that was incredible was the viral video on the S-Bahn with Kiddo Cat, which happened later that year in April, which was at the Music Messe at Frankfurt. And again, it was the last day of the Music Messe. I actually was late for my demonstration that morning. And because of that, they shifted my demo to the last demo of the day instead of, because I missed it, which was it was a little rock and roll at that stage. That's been cleared up thanks to Germany. I'm on time these days, as you can see, even though I'm in the car. And it was just a great day. We had such an awesome demo. At the end of the day, I was worried that nobody would be there. Ending up, all the stalls closed, so we had all the people coming to my demo. And me and Kiddo Cat had this little agreement. I just met her 2 days before, that we'd accompany each other on our demos. We had a good vibe. I didn't really know her at the stage at all. And we rocked it. We had all the leftover people coming, and we got them like dancing and clapping. It was so awesome. So much that the Roland bosses were like, Heidi, you're going to come and have dinner with us tonight, like with the inner circle. And so we went to have Malaysian food. And after that, I met up with Kiddo Cat and with Jan, who was recording. And we had this vibe on the train. And it just happens. And I cannot tell you how free I was in that moment. I really felt like I was free. I was flying. It was such a good vibe. Yeah, so that was one of the most extraordinary, unplanned, spontaneous collaborations with an artist I've ever had, and it still echoes through. People still remember it. So I'm really hoping that in future I could do some more stuff with Kiddo Cat. We'll see. Let's see how that goes.
Wonderful. Yeah. And just having a little conversation through this, did you know anything about Gappu, or when did you discover this little brand exists in India?
So I've seen you guys on Instagram, and you don't know whether I saw you guys and added you, or if you added me or whatever, but you have these brands. You kind of get to know about them when you're out there on the social media world. And you guys have written to me a few long ago, not that, I don't even know. I would have to have a look, because I get a number of messages, as you can imagine. Sometimes I just ignore my inbox. I'm just like, no, I'm not going there, not today. And you guys have been wanting to set this up for quite a while, and I really, really, really like the idea. So I'm really happy that we're doing this. And then you giving the intro about what you guys are doing, that you guys are not just another cajon brand, because there are so many brands now. I think when it becomes personal, when it can touch people's lives, is when your brand is more than just a mere empty material item that you give to people in exchange for money. It's like there is a value attached to it, that where you've changed their lives. So what you guys are doing with this percussion discussion thing is freaking awesome. And as you were giving the intro, I was just also thinking this is incredible, and it's so important because podcasts are actually really like becoming very popular too. So you guys are really forerunner with this, and that you are spreading this in India. Like, I don't know so much about India. I love Indian food and I want to go to India. And I know many people from India actually follow me and learn from my lessons. I do know that there is a specific passion for the cajon.
True.
And so
True.
I think that's
I've had one of my friends discuss before this conversation that he would wait at whatever time it is that we'll start the conversation, because he treats you like your guru or a god, kind of,
that's
So
so
you are
cool.
the
I love
person who
it.
introduced
How you
Cajon to him, which meant a lot. A lot of, like, me personally, I discovered videos through you. Otherwise, I did not have a guide to even start with the Cajon, because what I felt that you have changed is that it is not something that needs a lot of you need to go under a master to learn something and just be on the Cajon. Okay, pick it up, because it's all for everyone. You just pick it up, try experimenting with yourself. You have a little guide over the
yeah.
CDs or whatever, the YouTube. That is exactly how it felt. Like, it felt a lot more easier to connect to the instrument because of you. It was not something that I need to go to Spain to learn. Just exactly as you experienced. The thing is, you translating it into an experience for a lot of people is absolutely a beautiful initiative that you have done through your life.
Thank you.
Thanks again for what you've done.
Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you. Sometimes I forget, and it's so good to hear that as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciated that. I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
So yeah, I know it's getting a little late. Before ending the conversation, just a few little questions. At what age did you actually pick up your first cajon? Because you played on the drum kit and you were on the saxophone, if I'm right. You used to sing. So, at what age exactly did you pick up your first cajon?
It
And
was
what was it like?
19. It was in London. So
Uh-huh.
I literally moved to London 1 week before I was 18, and for a whole year I busked on saxophone and on voice, and then my voice got really tired, and
Okay.
then I got the cajon. So it was basically 19, which is quite a few years ago. Can you believe it? Yeah, 19. And how did it feel? It just felt like home. I there are very few instruments that I just felt like it's like an extension of my heartbeat. It's so natural. Everybody has a heartbeat. Everyone has a drummer inside of them. You can keep the beat. Like, everyone has music inside of them. Of course, some people are more trained in something, but this is so basic. It's slapping a surface and getting a sound out. Your two basic sounds, your bass and your highs. I mean, it's great. Of course, there's a lot of other sounds in between if you want to go really deep into the cajon, but just for anyone. And the messages I get, like, I have a lady who wrote to me the other day, and she's 74, and she says, thank you for the lessons, because on Christmas Day she actually gets to jam music with her granddaughters just with a basic beat that
Oh,
she learned. And I was like, what the heck? That is worth everything. That is so worth it. Like, dude, how
yeah.
cool. Like, how cool. And music brings people together, and I think we've lost the thing of community with music. Before
Mm-hmm.
television and all this stuff, we would sit around fires at night telling stories,
Great.
singing songs together, and playing beats, whether it's clapping or on some drums. And that was our
Yeah.
way of entertaining and
Mm.
communicating. And we've lost that. Now it's like sitting in front of a TV, see a master play on the stage. There is space for that.
Mm.
It's great. But what about the musician in you? What about the child in you that needs to play? And so for me, the cajon is the freaking perfect one, because not everyone necessarily just sings, even though I think the voice is like the instrument of all, because it's in you. It is you,
Yeah.
you know, but the cajon is the second most natural instrument for me. And it's so cool to be able to do both at the same time sometimes. Yeah, that's really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obviously
And how was
excited.
your first how was your first busking with the cajon? Because it must feel different with whatever you have played. And then discovering Cajon and just busking with Cajon for the first time?
It felt so natural. I was playing with a really bad sounding, difficult playing, completely homemade cajon, which is great. Like it's,
Yeah.
I'm proud that I started with the,
With the snare or without the snare?
yeah, it had something, but it was, it was painful. Like the wood on the front board was quite thick, like, and you've never
Yeah,
played before. And so but again, I'm someone who has a high tolerance to pain, I think, thanks to my brothers, growing up with three brothers and wanting to kick their asses at every turn. But it just felt so natural. It was on the streets of London. It was probably, I don't exactly know where exactly. It was either on Embankment Station or on the London Eye. I think it was on the London Eye. And it just was, yes, like, yes. Yeah, it was just like that completely. Of course, after like 20 minutes, your back starts aching when you're just starting to play. Then you have to stand up and walk a little bit, and you've got to build those lower back muscles. It does take time, but eventually, after a lot of blisters and blood and pain, you get through it, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's slowly time to wind it up. But a few things which I absolutely adore of what you said, I just wanted to recommunicate. One is about the posture, the difficulty which you will face after a point of time to, just as you said, I think it's there on your website, where you just have to shake up yourself a little,
Yeah.
and you had also posted in one of your videos which said about how do you understand rhythm. It's not about the technical calculation, but to feel the rhythm, which in a lot of terms helps people to understand that you don't need to be able to read the scores or to be able to recite the rhythm. It's just that everyone has the innate ability to feel the rhythm and just translate, not even connecting to whether this is the note or that is the note or what exactly you have to recite it as. And just to feel the rhythm is absolutely liberating for anyone who is going to pick up an instrument. So thanks for your all the sharing that you do just comes from the right space. It's not to impose anything upon anyone, but really comes from your experience and what it speaks. Anything that you would like to share to the listeners or to the people who
Well, I
who
think
will be listening to this and who are listening to this?
Well, firstly, thanks for everyone who's been live online and for all the nice comments. I couldn't read them all, but please feel free to send me messages and be in touch if you like this, if you have any questions. I think one thing I would say is just to take further what you were saying about it's not about counting. It's not about knowing how to count or how to read. We only do those things in order to really feel the beat. I think we've been brought up in a way where we've become very intellectual mind, and we forget that we are first and foremost spiritual creatures. It's something of the heart of the soul first, and we've started to really worship this culture where it's all intellectual. You have to understand it, the brain has to understand it, and yeah, it will set you free if you can understand that you are free even of your body, because once your body goes, you still there forever, my friend. You are inside, you live in a body. You have a soul, but you are a spirit, and that spirit needs to express and be free. And sometimes the best things that you can express and the best things you can do are things that you have no understanding of and you cannot explain it. Even feelings, like you can't explain what a piece of music that moves you so much, why it makes you feel like that. Or when you're madly in love with someone, why does it feel like I'm addicted to a drug? It's a different experience that we cannot explain here, and music is one of those things that you can really fly and set yourself free on. So I would really encourage everyone to go there, shake off any fear, be fearless, renounce and completely refuse to give any space to fear, anxiety, and depression. Just tell it to go. Refuse to allow those thoughts to have any space, because once you give it a little bit of space, it wants to completely consume your mind. And I know from myself, I have been held back for many years. There's a lot of things that I could have done already that now I'm, because of letting fear and anxiety and depression and even low self-worth, letting those thoughts be my master instead of being master over it and say, no, I'm not going to allow this. So just be fearless. If you've got a dream or you've got something that you want to do and express, you don't need anyone's permission, but you need to give yourself that permission. Yeah, that's basically it.
Wow.
And thank you so much. You've asked awesome questions. It is so nice to talk to you. You know, it's not always easy when you're having like an interview. I see it more as a conversation. Sometimes people are just going through like a list of questions and it's just a tick and a tick and a tick. But with you, I've been able to flow because you also have that beautiful flowing, you understand what I'm saying. And actually, I think you live that, and I can see the light shining through your eyes, and it inspires me. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. I don't know. I'm just blessed. It's a great night for me, and for all the listeners, I'm sure, because see, why we do what we do is actually because we are passionate about it, and that what we do is bigger than us, for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's one reason why we do what we do, because a lot of time we don't understand why we do it, and that's exactly why we do it as well. So you've just put it all in the conversation since the beginning, because what you are showing to the world is exactly what you're feeling. There's been no two words or two worlds about it, and I'm extremely happy, and I'm happy that I'm the chosen one to have this conversation with you. I did not expect this to happen any soon because the team got to me a few days back, in fact. So I'm really happy that I'm able to do this with you, and really looking forward to having you in India sometime.
Yes,
all of us,
please.
all of us are here waiting to have you sometime here, and maybe play together with you someday. I'm really looking forward to it.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We'll get the female power up there in India as well, like with percussion. Yeah. Also, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for your time. Really been lovely. Now I'm going to eat a really lovely Italian dinner. Sadly, not Indian. And by the way,
we love Italian as well. The people love pasta and pizza here too.
I like it, but I love Indian food. You have no idea. The first thing I did when I crossed the water from Germany was go to an Indian restaurant with my friends.
Wow.
Because there's not, the Indian restaurants in Germany is not like here in the UK. They have a culture here of incredible Indian food. So I am also looking forward to visiting you guys in India. And again, thank you. Thanks to Gappu Cajon. Thank you guys. Thanks for what you guys are doing. All the best. May God bless and give you guys favor in everything you do, and give you guys more crazy creativity to really bring life to the people in India through percussion and music. Yeah. Thank you.
Great, Heidi. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Have a great dinner.
Thank you.
And to all the other viewers, I hope we'll catch up with another conversation with you sometime later, and with other percussionists as well, as the PDS series goes. So good night.
Ciao.
Good
Bye,
night, Heidi. Have a nice time. Bye-bye.